The arena was enormous, stretching as far as the eyes could see, with walls of glowing metal that reached high into the sky. Thousands of aliens filled the stands, buzzing with excitement and fear. They had all come to see the same thing: the human who was about to face the Krather, the deadliest creature in the galaxy. The creature had ended careers, destroyed starships, and made even the strongest warriors tremble. No one thought a human could survive a single minute inside the arena. Sergeant Alex Harper walked slowly through the gates, his armor light and worn, his medical pack slung across his shoulder. He was small compared to the towering aliens around him, but his eyes were steady and calm. He had been through battles that had taken lives and left scars on countless worlds, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. He could hear the whispers from the crowd. No human can survive this. The Krather will tear him apart. The words did not frighten him. He had faced impossible odds before and survived because he stayed calm, focused, and never let fear take control. The arena doors rumbled as they opened, and a heavy, fiery smell filled the air. Smoke curled along the edges of the platform, and a low growl rolled through the audience. The Krather appeared, its scales shimmering like molten metal, wings stretching wide enough to blot out part of the sun. Its eyes were red and glowing, sharp and cruel, scanning the crowd for something to destroy. Its claws dug into the metal floor, sparks flying with every step, and its tail lashed with force that could crush a human instantly. Alex didn't take a step back. He studied the creature from a distance, noting the scar along its side and the slight limp in its movement. It was large, powerful, and deadly, but it was not perfect. Even the most terrifying beings had weaknesses, and Alex's mind was already working, thinking about how to reach the creature without provoking it. The crowd was silent now, waiting for the fight to begin. Commander Valen, a tall alien with 4 arms and pale green skin, raised his hand. He had been responsible for keeping the Krather under control and for making the challenge seem impossible. "Let the human prove himself, or die trying," he declared, his voice echoing through the arena. The Krather roared, a sound so deep it shook the floor. Flames danced from its mouth, scorching the metal around it. Most humans would have panicked, but Alex kept moving slowly, showing no aggression. He knew that rushing or showing fear could make the creature attack more fiercely. Instead, he focused on his breathing, steadying his heart and mind. Step by step, he approached the Krather, keeping his hands visible and speaking softly. He had no weapon designed to fight this beast, only his medical tools and knowledge of biology. He hoped to find a way to calm it, to understand it rather than fight it. The Krather shifted, watching him carefully. It sniffed the air, and a low rumble came from its throat. Alex noticed the slight tremor in its massive limbs. The creature was curious, but it was dangerous. Every move he made had to be measured and precise. Minutes passed like hours. The crowd could barely breathe, their eyes fixed on the human and the dragon. Alex crouched slightly, keeping his body low, and reached out toward the Krather. The creature lunged suddenly, wings flaring, but Alex rolled aside just in time. He didn't panic. He stayed calm, his hands open, showing no sign of attack. The Krather paused, confused by the human's lack of fear. Alex began to speak in soft tones, words the Krather did not understand, but his voice was gentle and calm. He moved slowly, touching the tip of a claw, then stepping back. The Krather sniffed him, then growled, unsure what to make of this small, unarmed being. Alex noticed its attention was shifting. The creature was curious, and that was his chance. He took one careful step closer, keeping his movements smooth and deliberate. The aliens in the stands whispered nervously. "He's too brave. No human could do this." Some began to cheer quietly, amazed by the human's courage. Alex did not seek glory. He only wanted to survive, and maybe, just maybe, find a way to calm the beast without bloodshed. The Krather crouched low, wings bristling, eyes fixed on him. Alex reached slowly into his medical pack and pulled out a simple healing serum, not knowing if it would help, but willing to try. He held it up, letting the creature see it. The Krather sniffed the air, stepping cautiously closer. Alex spoke again, his voice soft, steady, and calm. The dragon's red eyes flickered, almost as if it was considering the human as something other than prey. It was a tense standoff, each moment stretching longer than the last. Alex knew he had only one chance to make a connection. One wrong move and he would be history. But he also knew that humans had a gift others lacked: patience, empathy, and the ability to think differently. He would need all of that to survive the challenge ahead. The crowd held its breath as human and dragon faced each other, the air thick with heat and fear. Alex Harper, the small human combat medic, stared into the glowing eyes of the galaxy's deadliest creature. No one knew what would happen next, But one thing was clear. This human was not afraid, and he was about to change the way the galaxy saw humans forever. The arena was silent after the first tense standoff. The Crather's heavy breathing echoed like thunder, smoke curling from its nostrils. Alex Harper did not step back. He studied the creature carefully, noticing things no one else had ever seen. Its scales were jagged in some places, smooth in others, and the scar along its side looked old but still tender. Its massive claws left marks in the metal floor, and each movement sent sparks flying. Most humans would have panicked at the sight, but Alex had faced death before. He had learned that courage was not the absence of fear, it was acting clearly in spite of it. The dragon moved closer, tilting its enormous head to look at him. Its glowing eyes were full of curiosity and suspicion, but also pain. Alex realized that the creature was not just dangerous, it was hurt. Most warriors would have seen only the threat, but Alex saw the injury. He reached slowly into his medical pack and pulled out a small vial. The serum inside was basic, a mix of healing agents that could soothe burns and cuts. He held it out carefully. The Crather sniffed the air, flames flickering from its mouth as if warning him away. Alex did not move fast. He crouched slightly to appear smaller, speaking in a soft voice. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said calmly, even though he knew the dragon could not understand words. He moved the vial closer, letting the Crather see that he held nothing sharp, nothing threatening. The creature growled low, the sound vibrating through the metal walls. Alex stayed still. He knew that sudden moves could trigger a deadly strike. Slowly the Crather inched forward, its massive claws scraping against the floor. It sniffed the vial, then looked at Alex. Its glowing eyes narrowed as if weighing him. Alex held his breath, not out of fear but to stay steady. One wrong move could be fatal, but the human mind often worked differently from alien instincts. While the galaxy expected raw strength or deadly combat, Alex relied on patience and observation. He noticed the dragon's breathing was uneven, quick at first, then slower, almost hesitant. That told him something important. It was reacting to his calmness. Alex extended a hand slowly, keeping it low, open, and relaxed. The Crather growled louder, tail lashing, but did not attack. Alex whispered softly, not expecting the dragon to understand words, but the sound was calm and steady, almost like a rhythm. Slowly, the massive head lowered toward him. Alex kept his eyes on the dragon, watching its reaction to every small movement. A sudden flare of fire shot from the Crather's mouth. Sparks and smoke filled the air and the crowd gasped. Many thought it was the end. Alex flinched slightly but did not retreat. Instead, he moved carefully to the side, keeping his posture non-threatening. The dragon paused, confused. Its instincts were telling it to attack, but something about the human's behavior made it hesitate. Alex took a cautious step closer. He poured a small drop of the healing serum onto the Crather's scar. The dragon sniffed it, and then something remarkable happened. It did not lash out. Froze, watching him. Alex used a soft, rhythmic voice, speaking gently while observing its movements. He could see the pain in its body, the tension in its limbs. Unlike other creatures, the Crather seemed intelligent, capable of recognizing gestures and intentions. Alex slowly moved his hand toward its flank, letting it see that he meant no harm. Time seemed to stretch. The audience held its collective breath. Aliens who had seen hundreds of warriors face the Crather were astonished. No one had ever dared approach it without weapons. Some began whispering in disbelief. The human is not afraid. He may survive, maybe even tame it. The Crather's eyes flickered, almost as if it was considering the human's presence. Alex kept his movements slow, deliberate, and calm. He did not try to dominate or threaten it. Instead, he observed, studied, and responded. The dragon leaned closer, sniffing his hand. Alex let it touch his fingers lightly. Its scales were hot, and a faint vibration ran through its massive body. But it did not attack. He spoke again, soft and steady. "I can help you," he said, pouring another small drop of serum onto its wound. The Crather's breathing began to slow. Alex felt a small surge of hope. His strategy was working, not through strength but through empathy and understanding. The creature was dangerous, yes, but not mindless. It could recognize kindness, patience, and care. The audience could not believe what they were seeing. A human, small and unarmed, was standing before the galaxy's deadliest dragon, and the creature was not attacking. It was learning, observing, and slowly responding. Alex moved even closer, keeping his hands low, maintaining eye contact. The Crather made a soft rumble, almost like a purr, and lowered its head further. In that moment, Alex realized something important. Survival did not mean fighting. It meant connection. Humans had a way of thinking that other species often overlooked. They could empathize, understand, and act in ways others could not. This small human had a gift that no alien soldier could match: the ability to see through fear, pain, and aggression, and to respond with calm intelligence. The Krather lifted one massive claw and placed it gently near Alex. The human did not flinch. Instead, he touched the claw lightly, checking for injury, and whispered again in his calm voice. The dragon's tail stopped lashing. Its eyes, once filled with rage and danger, now showed curiosity and understanding. Alex had survived the first contact. The arena was silent, as if the entire galaxy was holding its breath. The Krather was alive, dangerous, and powerful, but it had noticed the human, and in that recognition, a bond had begun. Something remarkable was happening, and everyone watching knew it. The galaxy had never seen a human act this way, and the outcome would change everything. The arena was quieter now. The crowd was still unsure what to do. Some aliens whispered nervously. They had expected blood, chaos, and death, but instead they saw something no one had ever seen before. A human, small and unarmed, standing calmly before the Krather, the galaxy's deadliest dragon. Alex Harper did not rush. He understood the moment was fragile. One wrong move, one sudden gesture, and the Krather could turn violent in an instant. But he also knew that patience and calmness could achieve what weapons and force never could. He took a careful step forward, keeping his hands visible, open, and relaxed. The dragon lowered its head slightly, its glowing red eyes following every movement. Alex noticed that its breathing, though still heavy, was steadier than before. He reached slowly into his medical pack and pulled out another vial of healing serum. The scar on the Krather's flank looked deeper than he had first thought. The creature flinched as he approached, but it did not strike. Alex smiled faintly, keeping his voice soft. "It's okay. I just want to help," he said. His words were not important. They were soothing in tone, calm and steady, the rhythm alone carrying reassurance. The Krather sniffed the air, tilting its massive head, and stepped closer. Its wings twitched, muscles tensed, but it did not attack. Alex poured a small drop of the serum onto the wound. The dragon flinched at the cool liquid, then froze, staring at the human as if trying to understand him. Alex kept eye contact, careful not to show fear, and slowly reached out his hand. He touched the scales near the scar lightly, just enough to test the creature's reaction. The Krather did not move. It allowed the human to touch it. The aliens in the stands could hardly believe their eyes. Hundreds of warriors had tried to fight, tame, or even distract the Krather, and all had failed. And yet this human, small and fragile by alien standards, was gaining its trust. Some began whispering, and the words carried excitement mixed with disbelief. "It can't be real. How is a human doing this? He's taming it?" Alex crouched slightly, making himself appear smaller and non-threatening. He spoke again in calm tones, guiding the creature slowly. The Krather's eyes flicked toward the serum again, then toward the human's hand. It seemed to consider its options. Every step, every breath, Alex mirrored the dragon's movements just enough to make it feel safe. This was not domination. This was understanding, a silent communication that no one had seen before. Time passed slowly. The Krather's tail, once whipping violently, now lay still. Its massive claws, capable of crushing metal, were planted carefully, almost cautiously. Alex could feel its curiosity growing. He smiled faintly. Curiosity was the bridge. Humans had a way of reaching beings others could not because they did not rely only on force. They could observe, adapt, and connect. And this connection, fragile as it was stronger than any armor or weapon. The human moved closer to the Krather's head, gently touching its jagged scales and examining its eyes. The dragon did not resist. Instead, it leaned slightly into the touch, allowing a tiny connection. Alex whispered softly, "I won't hurt you. I can help." Though the Krather could not understand words, it seemed to understand intent. The pain in its body, the tension in its muscles, the way it had always reacted violently, all of it began to soften under Alex's calm presence. The crowd began murmuring louder, astonished. Aliens who had trained for decades to survive the Krather were speechless. A human, so small, so unarmed, was forming a bond with a creature that had been considered unbeatable. They had never seen anything like it. Some aliens leaned forward, wide-eyed, as if to study the human's technique, trying to understand how such a fragile species could accomplish the impossible. Alex continued his work slowly, carefully applying the healing serum along the Krather's scar. Each drop seemed to ease the dragon's tension. It lowered its massive head further, its glowing eyes watching him with something almost like trust. Alex smiled faintly, realizing that the moment had shifted. This was no longer just survival. It was connection, the beginning of a bond that would change the course of their lives, and perhaps the galaxy's understanding of humans forever. Hours passed, yet Alex remained focused. He observed the dragon's behavior, learning its responses, its patterns, its reactions to touch and tone. He noticed how it tilted its head when confused, how it shifted its weight when cautious, and how small gestures could calm it. Every movement he made was deliberate, calculated, and gentle. He was teaching the dragon that it did not need to attack to feel safe, that there was trust in restraint, and that humans could be allies rather than threats. Finally, the Krather made a sound no one had ever heard from it before, a low, rumbling vibration, almost like a purr. It nudged Alex gently with its massive head. The human did not flinch. He placed his hand against the dragon's scales and whispered, softly but firmly, "You can trust me." The creature seemed to respond, lowering its body slightly, a gesture of submission and curiosity at once. The arena was silent, filled with awe. The audience watched history unfold. A human combat medic, tiny by alien standards, had not only survived the deadliest creature in the galaxy but had begun forming a bond with it. It was a moment that would be remembered, not for bloodshed or violence, but for empathy, courage, and intelligence. Alex Harper had proven that humans could achieve what no other species could, not through strength but through patience, understanding, and heart. The Krather shifted closer, placing one claw carefully near the human. Alex smiled, aware of the small victory. The bond was fragile but it existed. In that quiet connection, the galaxy saw something it had never believed possible. A human and a Krather standing together, the impossible becoming real. The arena had changed. Where there was once fear, now there was a cautious awe. The Krather, the galaxy's deadliest dragon, no longer glared with only rage. Its glowing red eyes followed Alex Harper, the human combat medic, with curiosity and even something close to trust. The crowd of aliens whispered nervously, unsure if what they were witnessing was bravery, luck, or something no one could understand. Commander Valen's voice boomed across the arena. "Enough of this," he growled, his forearms folded tightly across his chest. "Let's see if your bond lasts when the Krather is truly challenged." With a flick of his claw, he triggered the arena's control panel. Suddenly, the floor shifted, and a series of metal platforms rose around the Krather. They were designed to make the creature aggressive, forcing it into a trap. Many warriors had fallen before, unable to handle the complexity and danger. Alex looked at the platforms, then at the dragon. He knew he had only one chance. If the Krather panicked or attacked recklessly, both of them could die. He squared his shoulders and whispered softly, "Stay calm. We can do this together." The dragon tilted its head as if listening. Its tail flicked slightly but it did not lash out. Alex understood that the bond they had formed, trust, curiosity, and patience, was now their only weapon. The platforms began moving, clanging loudly as they rose and fell. Sparks flew from exposed machinery, and the heat from the dragon's breath mixed with the hum of the arena. The Krather growled low, clearly uncomfortable, but it stayed close to Alex, its movements cautious yet cooperative. The human had studied the dragon carefully, and he knew its instincts. The Krather would attack if it felt threatened. It would listen if it trusted. Alex chose trust. Step by step, he guided the Krather through the shifting platforms. His movements were precise, deliberate, and gentle. He whispered softly, and the dragon responded, tilting its head or adjusting its stance to follow his lead. Every alien watching was stunned. This was not fighting. This was strategy. This was patience. This was a human showing a way of thinking no other species could match. Suddenly, one platform tipped violently, sending sparks and shaking the metal floor. The Krather's tail lashed instinctively, smashing a nearby console. The crowd gasped, expecting disaster. But Alex remained calm. He took a step toward the dragon, speaking in low, steady tones. "It's okay," he said. "We're together. Just follow me." The dragon froze for a moment, then slowly adjusted its massive body to remain steady. Alex smiled faintly. The creature had learned to trust him, and that trust had saved them both. As they navigated the treacherous platforms, Alex noticed something remarkable. The Krather's eyes, once filled with fearsome aggression, now held understanding. It paused at dangerous edges, waiting for guidance. Alex pointed with his hand, carefully directing it to safe spots. Slowly, carefully, the dragon followed his instructions. The audience erupted into murmurs of astonishment. Aliens who had once trained for decades to survive the Krather could not believe their eyes. A human was teaching a creature centuries of fear could not control. Then Commander Valen grew impatient. He activated the final challenge, a surge of fire jets shooting from the arena floor, meant to trap the dragon and force it into a lethal panic. The Krather's instincts screamed to attack, to lash out and escape. Many creatures would have panicked and destroyed everything around them. But Alex stood firm, moving close to the dragon's massive head. He placed his hand lightly on its jagged scales and spoke softly. The dragon hesitated. The jets of flame hissed and sparked around them, scorching metal and sending smoke into the arena. The crowd held its breath. Alex knew that this moment would define the outcome. If he lost control, both he and the Krather would die. He did not hesitate. He guided the creature with gentle touches, soft words, and careful gestures. The Krather shifted its massive body, following the human's lead. Slowly, deliberately, they navigated through the flames and shifting platforms together. The arena shook with tension. Aliens gasped as they saw the impossible unfold. No human had ever controlled the Krather's aggression, let alone guided it through the most dangerous challenge the Federation could create. The dragon, massive and powerful, had learned to listen, to trust, and to act with a human. Alex's strategy was working perfectly. His patience, empathy, and intelligence had turned a lethal adversary into an ally. Finally, they reached the center of the arena, away from the fire and platforms. The Krather lowered its head, wings relaxing, and let out a low rumble that was almost content. Alex patted the massive snout lightly and smiled faintly. The challenge was over. They had survived together, not through violence but through trust and understanding. The audience erupted into cheers, some in disbelief, others in admiration. Commander Valen's expression was unreadable, but his eyes narrowed slightly. Even he could not deny what had just happened. A human had achieved what no alien warrior could. Alex Harper had proven that humans could face the deadliest creatures in the galaxy, and succeed not by strength but by courage, intelligence, and empathy. Word of the event would spread quickly across the Federation. The story of a human combat medic guiding the galaxy's deadliest dragon through the ultimate test would be told for generations. The Krather, once feared by all, now trusted a human. The impossible had been made real and the galaxy would never forget it. Alex stood beside the dragon, catching his breath. The creature nuzzled him lightly, a sign of trust and recognition. He smiled, knowing this was only the beginning. Humans were underestimated across the stars, but moments like this proved that courage, patience, and empathy could achieve what raw power never could. The test of courage had ended, but the legend of the human and the Krather had only just begun. The arena was quiet now, but the echoes of what had just happened spread far beyond its walls. Alex Harper stood beside the Krather, the galaxy's deadliest dragon, now calm and almost reverent in the human's presence. Aliens stared in disbelief, their eyes wide, whispers spreading like wildfire. No one could remember a time when a human had faced the Krather and emerged not only alive but triumphant. Commander Valen stepped forward, his forearms folded, and stared at Alex. For a moment, the stoic alien commander was silent. He had seen countless species attempt to control the Krather, to fight it, to dominate it, and all had failed. Yet here was a human, a fragile, small human by alien standards, who had not only survived but formed a bond with the creature. Impossible, Valen muttered, almost to himself. But even he knew that words were inadequate to describe what had occurred. News of the event spread quickly through the United Galactic Federation. Reports were sent to starports, research stations, and training academies across multiple systems. Aliens who had trained for years to face the Krather now studied Alex Harper's techniques and approach. They noted his calm demeanor, his patience, his observation, and the way he understood the dragon's intentions before making a single move. What no machine, no weapon, and no warrior could achieve, a human had done. Alex returned to his quarters with the Krather following quietly, its massive claws making faint thuds on the metal floor. He inspected the dragon once more, checking for injuries and ensuring the creature was comfortable. It nudged him gently, resting its head against his shoulder. Alex smiled. This was more than survival. It was trust. It was partnership. The dragon, once feared across the galaxy, had accepted him as a companion. The days that followed were filled with lessons, not just for Alex but for everyone who observed him. He taught the Krather to respond to simple gestures and calm commands, helping it learn that humans were not enemies. The dragon, in return, became loyal, protective, and surprisingly intelligent. Alex realized that humans and the Krather shared something others did not understand: adaptability. The dragon had raw power, yes, but humans had patience, empathy, and the ability to think differently. Together they were a force no one could predict. Academies across the Federation began training students not only in combat but also in understanding creatures, studying behaviors, and approaching challenges with intellect and patience. Human methods, once dismissed as naive, were now revered. Students learned that courage was not just about strength, it was about observation, strategy, and the ability to stay calm under pressure. Alex Harper had proven that humans could excel where others failed. The Krather became a symbol of this new era. Instead of terror, it became a companion in missions across the stars. Alex and the Dragon worked together, helping colonists, rescuing stranded ships, and even confronting threats that no fleet could face alone. The galaxy began to see humans not as fragile or weak, but as creative, resilient, and capable of extraordinary courage. Stories of Alex and the Krather were told in every corner of the Federation. Parents recounted them to their children. Teachers used them as lessons in bravery. Scientists studied them to understand the mind of the human and the behavior of the dragon. Every alien who had doubted humanity was reminded of that day in the arena when fear had been transformed into trust, aggression into understanding. Even Commander Valen, who had orchestrated the challenge to show human fragility, could not deny the impact. He watched as Alex trained the Krather, guiding it with calm commands and soft gestures. The bond between human and dragon was undeniable. It was not merely survival or skill, it was connection, a deep understanding that transcended species, instinct, and fear. The galaxy never forgot what happened that day. Across planets, systems, and starships, the legend of the human combat medic and the deadliest dragon spread. Humans were now regarded with awe and respect, a species capable of facing impossible odds not with brute force, but with courage, intelligence, and empathy. Alex Harper looked up at the stars one night, the Krather resting beside him. He thought of all the species who had doubted humans, all the creatures who had been feared, and all the battles he had faced. He realized that the galaxy had changed not because of weapons or war, but because a human had dared to act differently. The Krather nudged him gently, reminding him that connection, understanding, and patience could achieve what no other method could. And so the legend was set. The human who had faced the galaxy's deadliest dragon and survived was remembered not just for bravery, but for something greater: the ability to see beyond fear, to act with wisdom, and to teach the galaxy a new way to understand life itself. Generations would speak of it. Across starports, academies, and training halls, the story would be retold. A human combat medic, small but fearless, faced the most dangerous dragon and emerged victorious, not through violence but through heart, mind, and courage. The galaxy remembered, and it never would forget. Alex Harper smiled as he looked at the Krather resting beside him. They had survived together, learned together, and changed the galaxy together. Humans had proven their worth once more. And the legend of the human and the Krather would shine across the stars forever.